Okay, chapter 1, paragraph 6 is about atoms, elements, and compounds. Well, first of all, to begin with, we talked about atoms before, and atoms are basically the building blocks. That's an O. Of molecules. There are different kinds of atoms. There are about 118 now, and you can find them in the periodic table of elements. The periodic table looks like this. You can find it in your book. Here you can see all symbols, and all those symbols are different elements. So here I have H. H stands for hydrogen, so H is a hydrogen atom. He means helium, B boron, C carbon, and nitrogen. So all these symbols stand for different atoms. You don't have to learn those names and symbols by heart. It would, however, be useful to know some of them, so that you don't have to look them up all the time. Okay, so all those atoms together form obviously molecules, and you can find them in this periodic table. The periodic table is made of periods and groups. Periods go like this, so they are vertical, and groups are like this, horizontally. Those groups have about the same properties. We talked about properties before. Property is something that you can actually recognize the substance of. So if you have a group and you go down, they have about the same properties. It's not exactly the same, but they are somehow the same. Okay, when it comes to atoms, you can build molecules, and when you add several molecules, you can either have a mixture or a pure substance. We talked about this before, so let's go back to the scheme we had. We have matter, and matter was split up into different ones, a mixture, and a pure substance. You saw this one before. Just to remind you, remember that this is a pure substance because I have the same molecules. They are all red, yellow, red. So this is a pure substance. When I add another one, I get a mixture because now I have different molecules. I have red, yellow, green, and red, yellow, red. So this is my mixture. I want to go back to the pure substances. The mixtures we'll leave for now. There are several kinds of mixtures, but we'll just leave it now. The pure substance can be separated into elements and compounds. An element has only one kind of atoms. And this has two or more. When I look at this one, this is a pure substance because I only have one kind of molecules, and it's a compound because I have red and I have yellow. So it's a pure substance, one kind of molecules, but it is a compound because I have in one molecule I have several different atoms. So this is a compound. An element or elemental substance only has one kind of atoms. So this is an elemental substance because, let's remove those, because I have only red ones. This is an elemental substance too because I have two green ones. If I add them together again, I have a mixture. because I have two different kinds of molecules. So this is an elemental substance. This is an elemental substance too. Together, when you add them together, you form a mixture again, because I have two different kind of molecules. So a compound has two or more kinds of atoms. So in this case it's red, yellow, red, but it can also be the red, yellow, green ones would be a compound too. This is an elemental substance, or an element, because I only have red ones. So that's the difference between an element and a compound. When you have the elements, there's another one that you can actually separate them in. You can set them into nonmetals and metals. That's also a thing that you don't have to learn by heart. When you go back to the periodic table, you can find them. The red ones are the nonmetals and the blue ones are the metals. So you don't have to learn which ones are metals and which ones are nonmetals. You do, however, have to know that there is a difference between the two of them, and what actually is the difference. So let's go to that one. Metals, we talked about that one before. Metals have like a shiny surface. They conduct both heat and electricity, but I'll just leave it to they conduct. They are very, very malleable. You do have to heat them, however, obviously, but you can actually form them into something else. Nonmetals, on the other hand, don't have a shiny surface. No shiny surface. Like sugar is a nonmetal substance. Do not conduct and are not malleable, because if you have sugar, I cannot like form it into another form. I can like put it in a form, but I can't form it like I can with metal. So that is the difference between metals and nonmetals. Then those metals, they can be separated into heavy and light. Heavy metals are mostly poisonous. They have a high density. So this one then obviously has low density. Those are mostly bad. So poison or pollution. They cause pollution. They are poisonous and they cause pollution. So they are poisonous and they cause pollution. Examples of heavy metals are, for example, lead. Other ones are, for example, mercury. Those are basically the ones that you will find most in the laboratory. And there are other ones like cadmium and thallium, but they are that poisonous that we don't even have them.